The Bill LuMaye Show.
And Coulter, demonic how the liberal mob is endangering America. Welcome to the show.
Sure, great to be here.
So it is a great book, and I'm just wondering, was there a particular mob that inspired you, Ann? I mean, where did you come up with the idea?
I went through a lot of them.
You went through a lot of them. Well, early in the book, you start talking about something that I've often pondered about, that the liberals have the ability to have two conflicting ideas in their head at the same time and still feel very passionate about things. I often wondered how they got the one thought, but you're talking about two thoughts here. How is that possible?
Yes. It's a classic characteristic of group psychology, mob psychology. A man in a crowd becomes more simple-minded and childlike. They tend to have an easy infatuation for an individual, as they do for their political leaders, like Clinton and Obama. They hold contradictory ideas very simply because they can't understand logic anymore. This is why images and slogans work so well with the crowd, with liberals, and sort of fall on flat ears with liberals or with conservatives, because we just don't grasp mobs.
They always tell us how tolerant they are, and I noticed here in the state of North Carolina, in Raleigh here, we finally have a Republican-controlled legislature. I think that's the first time since, like 120-some years. And we're seeing a lot of arrests and a lot of protests coming from liberal groups that are protesting. And all these years, with all the bills that have come forward that have been controversial, they never drag out a conservative or a Republican. The Capitol Police aren't called. Is this just inherently what liberals are?
Oh, that's interesting. I hadn't even heard about that. That's one of the things that drives me crazy about the liberal mobs. I speak at a lot of college campuses. I know lots of people who speak at college campuses, conservatives. We share a bodyguard. So I know what happens. And it's constant physical attacks and attempted physical attacks. Nobody ever talks about it because, for one thing, you don't want to inspire copycats. And for another thing, we don't want to sound like pussies like Paul Krugman on the New York Times op-ed page whining about his hate mail and oh, boo-hoo-hoo. But, the end result of that is normal people have no idea what constant attacks public conservatives are under. Literal physical attacks. I didn't even know this was going on down. I knew about Wisconsin.
Sure.
I know about what happens in Arizona. But as I describe in my book, for 100 years, all political violence has come from the left. And I trace it back to the French Revolution, which is the beginning of modern liberalism, just a violent anti-religious revolt, with Frenchmen slaughtering other Frenchmen and desecrating cathedrals for 4 years until they threw themselves into the arms of a dictator, compared to the American Revolution, which is the conservative revolution, or the beginning of conservatism, and it's calm and Christian and thought out, with our rebels constantly explaining their revolution and writing about their revolution, putting it out there for everyone to understand and critique. Much like today's Tea Partiers reading the Constitution, making arguments about Obamacare. But it's a very different tradition, and it does lead to not the mob psychology that you see on MSNBC every night, leads to actual violence all the time.